Welcome back to Game On. As you can see, we're without Jamie Beale, so it's just me and you today. But Colac Tigers had a great win, 63-point win over Grovedale. But I suppose the exciting part of the day was obviously you guys securing a top 3 spot with a big percentage boost, I suppose.
Yeah, well, it ended up being a really good win in the end. It was 10 goals, but that probably wasn't a fair representation of how Grovedale played. I thought they were really strong in tough, sort of muddy conditions. We were under some interesting circumstances. We played without a ruckman, no Zybel, no Darcy Howard, so that made the centre stoppages and stoppages around the ground really interesting. Jack Skinner rucked for the first half and almost played like a fourth on baller really, which was really sort of helpful around the ground, but means it hurts you a little bit at stoppage. Then both Garners and McCormack went through there in the second half, but I think it was our defenders that held up really well given the circumstances. Grovedale really dominated a clearance. They won the clearances 58-42 and 15-6 at the centre stoppages. But we were able to win inside 50s, 51-42. So it gives you a good idea of how well our defenders were able to intercept, rebound and hold the ball inside our forward half. So they did really well. But yeah, the finish wasn't without dramatic fashion. Obviously, St Mary's beat Newtown, which was a bit of an upset, and beat them convincingly by 39 points there. So we were actually really struggling to figure out, what that meant for us and how much we had to win by. But yeah, it certainly didn't affect how we played in that last quarter because, as I said, no one could figure it out. There was actually a moment there late in the game. We won a free kick 20 metres out directly in front of goal, and Michael Robb took the advantage, handballed it to Joffy Simpkin, and the siren blew as he went to kick it in the top of the goal square. And we actually had people come onto the ground and say, "Oh, that's cost us. That's cost us top 3." That one goal, which obviously wasn't correct in the end, but yeah, it was a really exciting finish there.
And there was a few reports from the game. There'll be, I suppose, Cole, you guys will be sweating on the availability of Ben McCarthy. He got cited for striking, and Adam Garner for tripping. So, what did you kind of see out of that? How do you think that'll play out?
Yeah, I can't judge the Ben McCarthy one because I didn't see that live, but the feeling is that it wasn't super serious. The Adam Garner one, that's more of a worry. So I had a look back today at the actual incident, and it's really inconspicuous. He got done for tripping, but it didn't look deliberate and it didn't look super rash. But the worry is obviously Adam Garner was yellow carded against Bell Park and handed a reprimand after a guilty plea, which means that he's in slightly more hot water if he can't get a reprimand again. So that's more of a worry, that one, but that'll sort of come out during the week. And then just some notable players from the game. Seb Ross was absolutely terrific. He's obviously had a tough run with injury, but this was the first time he's really dominated a game and shown the quality player that he is. He had 22 disposals, 8 clearances, 9 tackles and 4 goals. That's a super day. And then Cody Spokes was really good as well. Jason Armisen just pumped him right up after the game. He was terrific. He had 27 disposals and 14 intercept possessions. And then the last one was Ryan Monaghan. He sort of floated from the midfield and forward, had 24 disposals, 3 goals and 7 tackles.
Now for the Colac Tigers netballers, they ended their season with a great 19-goal victory over Grovedale, and it's really capped off a year of great development for the side. The Colac, they really grew its lead in each of the quarters and put together a strong performance.
Now moving to the CDFNL finals, and in the football, the first qualifying final, Alvey have defeated Lorne by 31 points, and it was a clinical performance, a really strong defensive performance for the Swans, and they just really outbodied Lorne all day. They were too good through the middle of the ground, and as I said, defensively. It was played in really tough conditions, and the Swans were just able to get on top. Really, they made use of the conditions in the first quarter. There was a strong breeze going one way, and Alvey were able to push out to a 14-point lead. And in fairness, the Dolphins did come back in that second quarter when they had the win, but that was all Alvey's way in the second half.
As you said, everything kind of went Alvey's way in that second half. They extended their lead to 19 points at 3/4 time, and then their defence really held up. They held Lorne to just 2 points in that last quarter, with obviously against the breeze, so that was really impressive. But a bit of an injury watch for Alvey. They had Ben Eddy go down with a calf, and Tom Smith hurt his foot, so there'll be a bit of a wait and see for this weekend's semi-final against Colac Imperials. Alvey's Glenn Strawn, he didn't play as well either for the Swans with his AFLW commitments, taking up his time there. And we're looking at the Carlton's AFLW fixture. It looks like he probably won't play this weekend, so He's obviously a big out for them, but for Lorne, they obviously got a second chance this week against Illawarra Beac, and for Ed Kerner, he just said his side just needs to get back to, so he's bringing the pressure. He felt they probably lacked that a little bit in Sunday's game. In Sunday's elimination final, Illawarra Beac progressed to the next round after beating Birregurra in a low-scoring slog. The do-or-die clash, it was a tough and physical encounter, pretty tough conditions at Central Reserve, with just 3 goals being kicked between the two sides for the whole first half.
Yeah, the Bombers held a narrow sort of 4-point lead heading into that last quarter there, but yeah, Birregurra's Lockie Bosley was able to get one back early and sort of get the Saints ahead at one point there, but Illawarra Beac responded with back-to-back goals from Toby Milton and one Ramos to get back in that front, so that sort of showed the back and forth nature of the game.
Yeah, and Nick Arnold, he actually kicked a goal for Birregurra to get the scores back to, I think it was 5 points late in that game. There was about 4 minutes to go, but both sides were defending really toughly. I suppose, especially Illawarra Beac, they just grinded the game out and ended up with a win.
Now looking at the A-grade netball, Alvey have gone a long way in helping their title defence with a 14-goal win over the Colac Imperials from a really strong defensive performance. The Imps sort of had control early through the mid-court there in that first quarter, but it was Alvey's attacking end that really stood up and helped them sort of swing momentum back their way.
Yeah, and Colac Imperials, Eliza Carl, she was forced from the court with a shoulder graze. I think that was early in the game, and her absence kind of allowed Alvey to really dominate the game and get the game on their terms. They outscored the Imps 14-6 in that term, and Alvey coach Sarah Morrissey, she said she was really pleased with her side's discipline and structure in the contest.
Yeah, the Imps were able to close that lead to 4 goals at one stage there in the first half, but it was Alvey that were up 26-21 at half-time there, and Chelsea Hillman and Ruby Bowers were really strong in defence. Chelsea Hillman had a great intercept in that last quarter over Kiara Foster there.
And so it was a bit of a tough day for Eliza Carl. She also went down in the last quarter with an ankle injury, but Imps co-coach Chloe Gray said she was hopeful that it was only pretty minor and should be right to go for this weekend. But for Alvey now, they'll turn their attention to a semi-final clash with Illawarra Beac for a spot in the grand final. That'd be Alvey's, I think it's fourth grand final appearance in a row. So it'd be interesting to see how that goes. In Sunday's A-grade elimination final, Birregurra lives to fight another day after moving forward in the next round of finals. The Saints had an 8-goal win over South Colac. But yeah, the Saints, they pushed their lead to double digits in that third quarter, but South Colac just wouldn't go away all day and really fought hard. Yeah,
the Roos brought the game really closely there. It was a 5-goal margin at the three-quarter time there, and they were actually really within touching distance. It got to 3 goals halfway sort of through that fourth quarter there. But yeah, Birregurra were able to just steady and sort of get away.
Yeah, and South Colac's Chanel Monahan, she was named best on court for the Roos. They moved her from wing attack into centre, and she was really crucial. She gave South Colac a lot of tips, and it was great defensively for them. Yeah,
and then Birregurra's Louise Van Dugter, and she came into the game with a little bit of a niggling injury, but was able to do a really good job on South Colac's shooter Maggie Aldridge, and that was a really good matchup there. But now the Saints will face the Colac Imperials in another elimination final on Sunday.
Now looking at other football finals from across the weekend. In the reserves footy, we had Birregurra 8-7-55 defeat Illawarra Beac 5-1-31 in the qualifying final. In the elimination final, it was South Colac 2-13-25 defeating Colac Imperials 2-5-17. And for this weekend's finals, we'll have the second semi-final will be between Lorne and Birregurra, and the first semi-final on Sunday will be between Illawarra Beac and South Colac.
Yeah, in the junior football, Apollo Bay's future looks to be in really good hands, with the Hawks 3 final sides soaring into the second week. In the under-18s, it was Apollo Bay 6-8-44 to Colac Imperials 3-4-22. And in the elimination final, it was Western Eagles 7-6-48 to South Colac 4-1-25. And then for this weekend, it'll be Illawarra Beac versus Apollo Bay on the Saturday, and then Colac Imps versus the Western Eagles on the Sunday.
And under 15s footy, Western Eagles had a 9-14-68 to 2-2-14 win over Birregurra in the qualifying final. In the elimination final, it was Apollo Bay in a very low scoring game, 1-2-8 to Colac Imperial 0-2-2. And for this weekend's finals, we've got second semi-final on Saturday, South Colac versus Western Eagles. And in Sunday's clash, it'll be Apollo Bay versus Birregurra.
And then in the under-12s, it was an unreal sort of weekend of finals. Both games were outstanding. In the first qualifying final, it was Apollo Bay 5-5-35 to Illawarra Beac 5-4-34. And then even better, really, on the second day in the elimination final, it was South Colac 5-4-34 and Colac Imperials 5-5-35. But they were locked neck and neck at the end of play in a draw, and so we went into extra time, and then the Imps were able to sort of get a point there and sneak away in terrific fashion. So that means this weekend Birregurra will versus Apollo Bay, and then Colac Imps will versus Illawarra Beac.
Now for other netball results from the weekend, we had B grade qualifying final. Illawarra Beac 38 defeated Colac Imperials 29. In the elimination final, it was South Colac 48 defeating Birregurra 23. And in this weekend's games, Albi play Illawarra Beac in the second semi-final on Saturday, and Sunday's clash will be between Colac Imperials and South Colac.
Yeah, and then in the C grade, the Western Eagles defeated Colac Imperials 29 to 26 in the qualifying final, and in the elimination final, Simpson defeated Illawarra Beac 35 to 29, which means Birregurra versus the Western Eagles, and then Colac Imperials versus Simpson.
Yeah, in D grade netball, South Colac had a big win over Birregurra 54-25 in the qualifying final. In the elimination final, it was Lorne who had a 37-24 win over Western Eagles. So this weekend's games will be Colac Imperials versus South Colac in the second semi-final, and Sunday's do or die will be between Birregurra and Lorne.
Yeah, and then looking at the juniors, the Western Eagles defeated South Colac in a tight one, 28 to 26, and in the elimination final, Apollo Bay defeated the Colac Imperials 31 to 26. Which means on the Saturday, Illawarra Beac will versus the Western Eagles, and then South Colac will versus Apollo Bay.
Yep, and in the 15 and under qualifying final, it was Illawarra Beac 36 defeated Lorne 30. Elimination final was a close one, Simpson 28 defeating Colac Imperials 27, with this weekend's game between Western Eagles and Illawarra Beac on Saturday, and the elimination final will be at Lorne and Simpson.
And then in the under 13s qualifying final, the Western Eagles defeated Colac Imperials 39 to 29. In the elimination final, Lorne defeated Otway Districts 36 to 20, which means on the Saturday, Illawarra Beac will play the Western Eagles, and then on the Sunday, Colac Imps will versus Lorne.
Now moving on to the Colac Braves, the Division 4 side has booked their spot in the grand final alongside the club's Div 2 side after a dominant 9-3 win over Corio.
Yeah, the team collected 10 hits for the day, so it was a relatively efficient performance. Simon Day went 2 for 2 with a walk and a hit by pitch, while Jason Tramp added a strong 2 from 3 performance. But the big highlight of the day was Saxon Cooper. He came in clutch with an inside the park home run, which drove in 3 RBIs. And then on the mound.
Yeah, Dan Billings, he was outstanding. He pitched a complete game, allowing only 2 earned runs.
Yeah, so as you said, the boys will carry their momentum into the grand final against Werribee on Saturday, which is who they played in that qualifying final and had a tight one there.
Now for our Colac Herald Players of the Week, I'm going to keep on the trend with duos. I'm going to go Ruby Bowers and Chelsea Hillman from Albi. They were terrific in defence, holding Colac Imperials to just 38 goals. Obviously, they got a great attacking end, the Cats, and they were terrific in helping Albi win that one. Yeah,
and I'm going to go with player coach for the Colac Tigers, Seb Ross. He was terrific on the weekend. He had 22 disposals, 8 clearances, 9 tackles, and 4 goals, and it was absolutely outstanding. But he's played a couple of finals for St Kilda, but he'll be playing his first GFL final against Newtown on Saturday.
Thanks for watching Game On. We look forward to covering all the finals actions from across the weekend, and a big shout out to the Colac Braves who will play in grand finals this weekend.